I learned a lot that night.
We have to go to our next question. Mr. Mártين, please.
Well, thank you. And Colonel, I really appreciate hearing your testimony because it's matching testimony we've previously heard. One of the things that came up here that you've indicated very early on in your remarks is the heavy influence that Iran now has in this area. And when we go back to the MEK and we go back to the revolution and how you were referring to the students at that point in time, and it was basically, in my understanding, a student-led revolution that got hijacked by the clerics in Iran. And do you see a division along tribal lines, the tribes of Iran aligned with their own tribes in Iraq? Is it following that kind of a path, sir?
From what I have seen, it's not tribal in Iran and Iraq, but it is, at this point in time, religious. And at this point in time, a lot of opportunists. And I'll drop back to my role as the anti-terrorism officer for all of Iraq. The United States, before it invaded, first off, our State Department had paid Chalabi $33 million to provide information on Saddam Hussein and his weapons of mass destruction and his other great technologies. Defense Intelligence Agency had also provided him double-digit millions. Basically, Chalabi made about $100 million off the American taxpayer to give us misinformation. Then the State Department had Chalabi go to Tehran and make sure it was okay with them for us to invade Iraq and bring down Saddam Hussein. Well, of course it was. But one of the conditions the State Department received and the American government received is to also attack the Mujahideen al-Khalq. Now, moving on, as the American forces and the British forces moved in, the Iranians, and I saw this personally, was setting up, and they already had Hakim's Badakor and Hakim's Security, Supreme Council Islamic Revolution in Iraq. They were already established in the country. I came to realize when I got there that the Iranian government had come up and started replacing the governments. We talk about the Fallujah Triangle, basically from Tikrit down to Fallujah over to Baghdad. I developed another expression, and that was the Iranian wedge that I was witnessing. It was from Al-Qut to Al-Qut to Diwanir to Najaf, up to Kabbalah, and over to Al-Hila and back. And I could see this great, it was almost like a tidal wave that was a struggle in that location at that time. And Diwanir was really the center of gravity because the tribal chief there was determined we're not coming under the control of Iran. And he was also not coming under the control of Al-Qaeda. And he mobilized his tribe to try to secure the city. Unfortunately, that success fell. But that was the main area I was having to deal with the Iranian influence as the anti-terrorism officer. Then I came back to the States, and then I was by name request to go back to Iraq to be the J3 of detention operations. And I started seeing now the influence has jumped from Iran through Baghdad, and then it was now being struggled in the Diyala province. So by then, by the time I came back, that Shia population had pretty well taken control of a lot of the Baghdad area. Now we were finding they were going after the Diyala province. Also what we found, and I had to deal with this several times, in one case in particular, we got word that the Iraqi Ministry of Interior, which was a very corrupt organization, was moving their forces into villages, and telling the village people you got 1 hour to clear.
Could I interrupt you for a moment, sir, if I could, because I'd like to come back a little more towards Camp Ashraf.
Sure.
And one of the concerns that came through in the testimony we had here, and it left me with the feeling that that there was an orchestrated campaign to malign them. And the second thing that came through was we were astounded by the number of American officials who were saying they had to be protected. and how the government in the U.S. just seems to be ignoring a plethora of people across the board